Welcome to the Wednesday Healing Meditation Service. If you would like a person's name to be called out at the time where we call out the names of the people to be prayed for, you can write a name on a piece of paper and put it in the prayer box, and while Jack is talking, I will take the name out of the box and put it on the list. Right now, we're going to be just doing a chant that is very simple. I'll say the first line and then you repeat it. And just let go, let God, and let this take you to a very receptive place where you're open to input that you need to hear at this time, and get into that space of receptivity, letting go, becoming one with the all-knower. So let's start. What a blessed world we live in. 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 Sacred water, sacred air, sacred water, sacred air. Sacred water, sacred air, sacred water, sacred air. Bless the wisdom of the Holy One. 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 the love of the Holy One. Bless the love of the Holy One. Bless the love of the Holy One. Bless the love of the Holy One. When I look at you, there is none but you. When I look at life, there is none but you. When I look at life, there is none but you. When I look at life, there is none but you. Holy, 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 I breathe in, I breathe out you. 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 All of life breathes in and 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 out you. I breathe 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 in and out you. Holy, holy, I breathe in, I breathe out you. 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 Holy, 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 holy,
Evening, everyone. You know that new Unity ministers all suffer from the same problem. They suppose that every time they speak, they should be giving something to the people that's going to inspire them and excite them, something new, something different. And after a few months in the ministry, in order to keep from blowing their brains out, they realize you can't speak every Sunday or during the week and bring something new and exciting to the truth that you're sharing. So you get to the place, if you want to sustain your peace of mind, where you realize that you're only an instrument serving the universe in such a way that you are reminding people to do what they already know they should be doing or are doing. And that takes the pressure off for most. I do really know a couple of ministers that destroyed their physical health in their attempts to be new and extraordinary in every talk they ever gave. And finally, they had a breakdown. And then there's Paul the apostle, those around him begging him. He said, I will give you what I have, and that's all I can give you. But just think about this a moment. Ministers have no idea, really. They know a few people here and there that might be struggling with a particular issue or a problem, but they have no idea what the vast majority of the people that may be tuning in to what they say are going through. So they can only operate from their extreme focused guidance, which is what takes place here at Unity of Boulder. So that's what's taking place tonight. If this isn't really new to you who are tuning in, see if you are not actually neglecting the amount of practice that's required to experience what I'm about to say. Not to just say, oh, I've heard that before. Yeah, I know that. And quite often people say, I know that, but they really don't know it enough to be experiencing it. So hopefully you're among those that know it enough, that are experiencing it, and you delight in the idea of hearing it stated once again. I'm going to start with a story that takes place around the time that Moses freed the Hebrew people from Egypt, and they had gone out into the wilderness on their way to the promised land, but they were stranded in the wilderness, and the people began to be discouraged, and some of them even protested the fact that Moses had taken them out of Egypt where they were slaves. But at least they had something to eat, they said. And so they go through this whole experience. And it's at that time that Moses decides to go to the top of Mount Horeb, the holy mountain, where God exists and speak directly to God. One of the Israelite men finds out that Moses is going to take this journey to speak directly to God and have a one-on-one experience with God. And so he requests Moses to ask God a favor. He asks Moses to ask God to grant him tranquility, for he has, in his whole life, only suffered from everyone and everything their inconsideration of him, which actually kept him from ever having peace. So he suffered his whole life because people and conditions and circumstances were not considerate of him at all, and so he never really had peace. So now he's asking Moses to request of God to grant him tranquility. So Moses takes his journey up to the top of the holy mountain, and God gives him the tablets containing the Ten Commandments. But instead of departing from the presence of God, and this is not in the Bible, by the way, this is a story that uses the whole concept of Moses going to speak to God. But instead of departing from the presence of God, Moses lingers there and then relates to God the request of the disgruntled man among the Hebrews. So he relates the request. Will you grant him tranquility? And God says to Moses, I have created everything on the face of the earth, and every experience in humankind I have created. But tranquility I have not made. I left it for each person, each one of you, to make it for yourself. Which is an interesting idea, but it is a very true idea. And it is something that in unity we should actually all be keenly aware of. We should be at a place in our evolution, on our spiritual journey, where we recognize we are not in a position, for the most part. It's a very rare occasion if we ever have the opportunity to force another person to have peace. It can be, on a very rare occasion, something that can be done, but it's so, so rare. We may as well not even consider it. Our work on the spiritual journey is to become so involved with our own introspection that we make ourselves a vehicle of peace. And I'm talking about mystical peace. And I'll explain the difference here. I'll do it with this quote from the Master, who is called the Prince of Peace, had this to say in the Gospel of John, chapter 14. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. But not as the world gives, give I unto you this peace. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid, ever. My peace I give to you, but not as the world gives peace, do I give you peace. So you see, it's something, if we consider it, we come to realize that the world only provides people with peace when the conditions and circumstances of the world are meeting that person's personal desires, personal expectations, personal demands, then a person has peace. That's how the world can give us peace, but it's a fleeting peace. It's not a lasting peace, and it's not a true peace. Because the conditions and circumstances of the world are forever shifting and changing, and quite often they shift and change in opposition to our expectations and our desires and our demands. So there's another peace, which is a mystical peace that the Master is relating to. The peace that I provide for you is not the peace that the world gives you. The peace that this divine consciousness provides brings a peace that is not contingent upon the conditions or the circumstances of the world. This is where spiritual mastery lies. It is right here. And you can measure your journey, your spiritual development, by how much peace you actually have with the conditions and circumstances that are taking place in your life, whatever they may be. Because to the degree that you are not at peace with them, to that degree you are at odds with conditions and circumstances. To that degree you are in a state of resistance to the conditions, the circumstances. It may be certain people, it may be on the job, it may be in a relationship. Because that is not where you should look to find your happiness or the life truly worth living. And what is being shared here, the Masters share down through the ages, because they have come to know the truth of it, because they have come to live it. So here we are. Is it possible to be so involved in the beauty and the majesty of being alive that you are so enamored by just having life, that you are one who is willing to make this peace your priority, knowing that you can't change the world, you can't fix it, you can't make it go the way you'd like it to go so that it'll make you feel okay. You can't do that. You never will be able to do that. Nobody has ever been able to do that. Nobody who's ever made billions of dollars or become the most popular person for a while or whatever, an actor or a great sage or politician, has never been able, with all their money and all their power and all their prestige, has never been able to make the world obey their personal desires and expectations. So now you should know that that being impossible, then the energy that is spent on trying to acquire that kind of money or popularity or prestige, you should siphon off a large portion of that for your spiritual practice, to give your attention and your energy to making peace, mystical peace, your priority, so that your dictates and desires and demands are relaxed. They're not necessarily abolished. They are relaxed in deference to peace, so that whenever an issue comes up where your personal expectations are being challenged, you're not going to even fight or resist even more. You're going to let it go and choose peace. And of course, the first thing that comes to mind from the ego is, what if there's injustice taking place? Don't we have to get out there and really make sure that we make justice happen? We can't make justice happen, only from within ourselves. We can only make ourselves just, and we can only make ourselves emissaries of peace. And when we do that, we add the peace and the justice to the collective consciousness. That's what our service to life is all about. So if we go forth to try to create justice and do whatever we can politically, there's nothing wrong with that as long as we can go forth and still sustain the priority of peace and not get ourselves involved in negative emotions and resistance. So that's why A Course in Miracles will say this. I'm reading this to you from the Course in Miracles text, page 187. You can find it in the new edition on page 202. If your brothers and sisters are part of you, and you blame them for your deprivation, you are blaming yourself. And you cannot blame yourself without blaming them. That is why blame must be undone, not seen elsewhere. Lay it to yourself, and you cannot know yourself, for only the ego blames at all. Self-blame is therefore ego identification, and as much an ego defense as blaming others. You cannot enter God's presence if you attack His Son. I know if you're new to this work, when you hear about entering God's presence, it seems like such an abstract idea. So that you automatically must say, is there really any such thing as God's presence or living in God's presence? And so the only thing you can do is take my word for it and the word of the masters down through the ages. It is quite possible to become one with God and the presence of God and to have peace regardless of circumstances. Ask yourself, you just heard what I said. Ask yourself if you believe in the possibility of that. Because there may be a part of you that is resisting, that you can become one with God, so God conscious that you have peace regardless of circumstances. And that, by the way, is the goal of our spiritual journey. It doesn't take us out of the world. It doesn't even take us from seeking in the world to improve our conditions, circumstances, relationships, our income, whatever it is. But it just has all of those things placed in their right position beneath the never-ending awareness of peace, without which you cannot ever be happy. So, there are many different things that come with the acquisition of spiritual or mystical peace. There are many things that come with it, which is a certain lack of fear. In other words, people that have gotten into the work and seriously gotten involved in pursuing the truth that would make them free, and then made peace a priority in their lives, found that the fears that they had were necessarily dissolved. Just in the process of seeking peace, all other fears dissolved. And why would that happen? It happens because once you know you are one with God, the whole idea of your physical body life actually diminishes in its importance. Even the whole idea of physical death diminishes, so that your fear of it is no longer there, because you know eternity. You know what it means to be truly alive. And you have insight into what life requires of you in every given moment, because you're not strung out on the fear that the world shares, that there'll never be enough, you'll never save enough, or your life is in danger, or you won't be able to hold on to this relationship, or you better find somebody who's really going to be there for you, and so on and so forth, and so it is. As I said, you must remember that we are involved in a living yoga. The Master of Life, in his final prayer, as it is written in the Gospel of John, chapter 17, prays to God not to take his disciples out of the world, but to keep them from the evil that the world shares. And the world shares in the evil of the illusions of ego-centered separation and specialness, which leads to comparisons that don't really exist and leads to blame, judgment, and condemnation. All of those things are poisonous to the heart of a being seeking the presence of God. And so we must be on the watch as we live our lives. We must be awake and living, not to allow those poisons to enter our system. And when we recognize them, when we recognize negative, limited thoughts that we're holding with negative, limited emotions or fears, we have to remember to pause, to stop, and use an affirmation, use an ideal, an idea, a mantra of some kind that brings us back to knowing what is truly valuable. We can be taken away time and time again from what we know is truly valuable, because the world is so congested with negativity and fear and concern and limitation and condemnation. It is so congested, it is so propagated by the media, that we can be taken off of our yoga very easily. And that is why we have to have the courage to pause. We have to absolutely keep practicing until we know, without a shadow of a doubt, that peace is possible in any given situation. Mystical peace is possible, and it's what we really want. It is the one true value that we can have if we are willing to pay the price for it, the price of a surrendered ego rightness, a surrendered ego idea of justice, a surrendered ego idea of who's to blame, and a suggested, a surrendered ego idea of being important. How willing are you to not be important? Because this is true, what I'm about to share here from A Course in Miracles. Salvation is for the mind, and it is attained through peace. This is the only thing that can be saved and the only way to save it. Any response other than love arises from a confusion about the what and the how of salvation. And this is the only answer. Never lose sight of this, and never allow yourself to believe, even for an instant, that there is another answer. For you will surely place yourself among the poor who do not understand that they dwell in abundance and that salvation is come. This is an emphatic statement. This is like a universal, emphatic statement that's laid down on the altar of our lives. It's laid there for us to finally embrace it completely. And it says this. This is from the Course in Miracles text, page 206, the new edition, page 222. Salvation is for the mind, and it is attained through peace. This is the only thing that can be saved, and the only way to save it. So we need to give up these extraordinary ideas of becoming psychic healers or great astrologers or whatever else we might be interested in doing, so we might come across as being important. We can still pursue those things, but when we know that peace is the goal and the priority that leads to happiness and salvation. So it will go on to say, any response other than love arises from a confusion about the what and how of salvation. And this is the only answer. Never lose sight of this, and never allow yourself to believe, even for an instant, that there is another answer. For you will surely place yourself among the poor who do not understand that they dwell in abundance and that their salvation is come. So we'll leave it there for this evening. And we're sitting here in a holy sanctuary. You cannot even imagine all of the beautiful things that have been thought, shared, expressed, carried even over into people's lives, into discussions, into their families and relationships and their jobs, carried into the world. All that is so meaningful and valuable that has happened here in all these years in this sanctuary. So tonight we're going to just rest in the holiness of it all, the beauty of salvation, the idea that human beings really have a calling and there's a plan for happiness that is eternal. And we're going to do it by listening to our Tibetan bowls. And we're going to allow ourselves just to be present and okay with ourselves and okay with the world. And if any resistance comes up, or we remember that we've been resisting something, just let it come and let it go. Don't resist the resistance. Just know, oh, that's resistance. Say that. That's resistance. And let it come and go. Let it pass by and bring your mind back to the beauty and the majesty of this present moment. And if you don't have a particular meditation technique, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to use this tonight. I'm going to use this for our meditation. So I'm going to do a guided meditation this evening. And before we get to that, you can just use this thought. I am here now, honest with God. I am here now, honest with God. For our meditation, we're going to participate in this meditation that was created by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese guru sage. It's just a matter of words, very simple. We say the word within our mind, on the breath within, and then we say another word on the breath out. And we may say two words on the breath in or on the breath out. So I'm going to read this over several times. Just allow yourself to do it with me as I read it. So you take the word in, out, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment. And you can take it a little slower. In, out, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment. In, out, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment. In, out, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment. In, out, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment. In, out, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment. continue in this God-conscious awareness by praying for those whose names have been submitted to our prayer list. Because we are one, and moving more and more in the awareness of that divine joy of being one, we are going to use that thought when Norma calls the name from our prayer list. Simply let the thought, we are one, go to the name. We are one.
Ron Johnson, Butch R., Arlene Shokes, Tim, Lori, Dan, Tate, Jack, Michael, Felicia and Tony Santelli, Lisa Langley Barrow, Otto the Doggy, Cozy, Dalton Barrow, Taylor Addison, Rachel and family, Juan, Lisa Myers and daughter, Cynthia McGreevy, Corky Volt, Tracy McIntyre and family, Mira Morrison, Larry Morrison, Daniel Rivard, Sandy, Lene Desiree, Annie Rains, Nicole W. and Gio, Jan DeVille, Tricia Viette, R.L. and Spencer, Kathy Danskin, John and Jody Lovejoy, Christoph Rainey and family, Loretta Zebel, God's Spirit Children, the people of India, Kai V, Sandy Chamberlain, David Wow, Margot Gilham, Robin Harris, Mimi Thomas, Sandy Spahn. The air, the water, the earth, all life on planet Earth. United States government. If you'd like to call out a name at this time, you can do so now. Del Bigtree. Tissue. You see this healing light surrounding the prayer box and all the people whose names have been submitted throughout the month. We see them healed physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Let us consider this divine oneness moving in the consciousness of everyone sharing this Boulder community with us. And this divine oneness moving in the consciousness of everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us. And this divine consciousness moving in the minds and hearts of everyone sharing these United States of America with us. And this divine consciousness moving into the awareness and the lives of everyone sharing planet Earth with us, restoring divine insight, wisdom, compassion, healing, peace, and love. And this moving in the consciousness of all created creatures on planet Earth. All of the vegetation and plant life on planet Earth being blessed by this now accepted one divine consciousness. And this bringing a purification of all the elements, all the waterways, all the minerals of the world. For we are entering the new heaven and the new earth, which are one right here where we are. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now in our COVID-19 way. We bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder for its ministry and its purpose to bring that divine awareness into every life on planet Earth. For those of you that want to make a physical donation, a check, or a monetary donation, we have a basket through these doors as you exit that you can leave it. And those of you that are watching this on the screen, if you don't see the place that you can tag with your computer, you can actually go to unityofboulder.com and see the different ways you can make a donation. So now that we bring to mind that particular financial gift we'd like to make, and bless it with this affirmative prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. To this we say, Amen. we are inviting you back, those of you that have been watching online and haven't possibly returned to the physical church center. We're inviting you back. You know, we have some room yet at our Sunday services and at our classes. You can go online and find out. Santicia's starting another book discussion. But we're inviting you back. We still wear the masks and we still keep the social distancing, but we have open seating for you to come and share one-on-one in this beautiful energy that is Unity of Boulder. So, to all of you, good night.